Nina, you might be muted.
I'm sorry, I was just going and going. Sorry about that, everybody. But welcome to the 2022 Abilities Awareness Rally. Thank you for joining us today. We're so excited to have you here. As you know, March is Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month, and we're very excited to have you here online to celebrate creativity, skill, and achievements. You are all examples of what happens when we keep first and focus on our strengths and our skills. Today, we are here to celebrate abilities. I love that word, talents, and learn valuable information for people with disabilities, or should I say, again, abilities. So, I really want to recognize each of you here today for your involvement and commitment to all people living with an intellectual developmental disability and striving to achieve community involvement, lead independent lives, and advocate for their rights and what we believe in and what they believe in. We're going to hear from some amazing speakers, meet people who are true champions of ability, and learn more about advocacy. So we'll get started. So it's my pleasure today to introduce our keynote speaker for today, Liz Weintraub. I've practiced. I'm sorry if I messed it up, but it's Liz Weintraub. Liz has a long history of leadership and self-advocacy and has held many board and advisory positions at state and national organizations. She is a full-time member of the Association of University Centers on Disabilities policy team and also the host of Tuesdays with Liz, Disability Policy for All, where she attempts to make policies in accessible language so policies are acceptable to all. That's such a great asset to everyone's lives when we can understand what's in those policies. So thank you for Liz for that. Liz has received numerous awards and recognition and commendations for her work. Liz enjoys mentoring people with disabilities. So please join me in welcoming Liz. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Dana. And you mentioned about abilities. I was looking at the video today in honor of Disability Awareness Month, and I was thinking to myself, I also love the word abilities, and I think about ability when I think about my job because nobody gave me the time of the day for doing what I'm doing, except I should say my parents laughed at my face when I wanted to be doing what I'm doing, and AUCD gave me the opportunity to do what I'm doing today. So thank you for inviting me to speak to you about two of my favorite topics, policy and being an advocate. In some ways, they go hand in hand. The next slide. Well, you heard Dana saying, reading my formal bio, and that's great, but who am I really? Well, I'm a self-advocate. When I talk to my husband about what I want for dinner or where I want to go for on a vacation, that's me being a self-advocate. But when but today when I'm talking with you, I'm an advocate just like you. We are all advocates. I'm a wife. The bottom left picture is of my husband and I at his family house in Vermont. And I'm a doctor. The top left, and I apologize, I'm not very good with my right and my left. I never learned that. That's a picture of my parents. They're no longer here with us. and the top left is the top right, excuse me, is a picture of my sisters and me, and they help and support me every day. And I try to be a friend, and I say try because that's up to you, whether I'm a friend to you. So the next slide. I wanted to talk to you about Congress. I know we're here to talk about voting, but I think that Congress is part of voting. So both of your senators are Democrats that are on the federal level. Every state has 2 senators, and yours is Debbie Stover. I apologize if I can't pronounce their names right. Debbie Stover and Gary Peters. They are sometime in the district or in the state, and we refer to that as they're on the recess. And you also have a senator and a delegates in Lansing, and both of your and on the House side is at least 1 per state, and I think I saw that you have 9 seats, 9 representatives for a 9 district in Michigan. Don't quote me, but I think I saw that. They serve 2 years terms, and everyone 100% get reelected on the even years, and that's made up of 435 members of the House of Representatives. And no, well, this doesn't really relate to you, so we'll skip the note. On the next slide, we just went over the member of Congress and your representative in Lansing, and you vote them into office. Do you tell them to go to DC or to Lansing? So I think that voting is so important. This is a quote of mine. This is a quote from a friend of mine about voting. This is how you can decide who you want to be in Lansing or NDC represent Michigan. And the quote is, vote as your life depends on it, because it does. It's really important. I can tell you in 2020, 2 years ago, if you were following the election process, it was really important to vote, because that's who you who's in Congress, who is in Lansing, that you can who you want to represent you. The next slide. We need to. This is a chart about who votes. And only 31.7% of people with intellectual and developmental disability voted in 2016, compared to 61.4% of all Americans. And that's to me, in my opinion, that's really low, and that's a shame. Because if we have more people vote, then more people will say the issues that matter to us. And I say us because I am a person with a disability, and even though I don't live in even though I don't live in Michigan, I bet you that the issues that matter to you probably matter to me as well. Whether it's community living and home community-based services, or whether it's 14C, so those kinds of things. And I understand when I was talking to Susanna and Annette yesterday, they were talking about privatization and how Medicaid, how managed care is really important to you. Well, it might not be called that in Maryland, but it's still a concern to us. Managed care is still a concern to us. So we all need to vote. The next slide. And this is showing how, can someone mute themselves? Thank you. This is showing how you as a person with a disability can have influence on others. And I'll show you how. The person is in the middle because, in my opinion, the person with a disability is the most important person, or one of the most important people. And then they have family, and you can ask them, hey, you need to vote. You should vote. You should vote because for home community-based services, 14th Transformative Competitive Employment Act, or whatever the case might be. You have friends, you have advocates, you have educators, professionals, and they're all connected to you somehow. They're all connected, and what are issues that matter to you should matter to them. Because if you have a successful life, then they're going to be happier. So the next slide. What can we do? Well, this is March, and you might be saying to yourself, well, March and November are far apart, and there's at least 5 months before the election, but the primary is coming up soon, or the general election is coming up soon. So you need to make sure that you're registered, and if you're not, or if you are, that's great, but confirm that you're registered. And if you're not registered, then go and get registered. And if you need help with that, I'm sure someone could help you at I forget the agency that Susanna is from, but you could probably ask her. Plan how to best vote. We're still in the COVID. We're still in COVID time, and we're hoping that COVID will time go away, but it's best to plan how you're going to vote this year, whether it's by mail, by in person, whatever will work for you the best. Learn about the candidate. I think I was told that you're this year the governor's race. Well, it is a governor's race in Maryland as well. And so learn about those candidates. Learn whether you like them and whether their issues are your issues. And the most important thing is to vote. The most important thing is vote. And I believe if you don't vote, if you say, oh, why is voting important to me? I don't care about this. I don't care. I'll just go on with my day. Well, then I believe that you don't have a right to complain when you don't like something. So go and vote. So the next slide, these are some tools. So then there are some, can you put them in the chat for me? But they're very useful. I would recommend you looking at them when you have a chance. The next slide. Self-Advocacy Advocate, and the reason why I'm saying this is because I see them two different things. The word self-advocate and advocate. When I first introduced myself on the first slide, I said that I'm an advocate for myself when I talk to my husband, but I'm an advocate for others. Like today, I'm an advocate. And I think that the word self-advocate is another label. A lot of people might not agree with me, and that's fine. A lot of my friends will say, never give up the word self-advocate, because they're proud of that, because we have earned the right to be at the table. And that's true, but I don't want to always be known as a self-advocate. On the next slide. If you don't take anything else away from today, I ask you to take this up. And the last bullet I wanted to talk about is, if you don't speak up, someone else will speak up for you. Please, please, please speak up. I know it's hard. I know it's scary. I've been there. I have the first time I said no to my mom and dad. The first time I went to Washington, D.C. to advocate, that was very scary. The first time I went to Annapolis in Maryland, that was scary. But if I don't speak up, somebody else will speak up for me. And I don't want that. And if you need help, there are people there like Susanna and others who can help you. I'm not saying that you need to do this all by yourself. And believe me, I've been doing this for over 20 years, maybe 25, and I still get nervous talking. I still get nervous and say, can you help me do this? So the next slide. These are some of my favorite websites, and I won't go through all of them, but two websites that I think I would like to put and thank you, Susanna, for putting them in the chat. Is Tuesdays with Liz, and I'm not big with the name, but the person that introduced me did a wonderful job about talking about disability policy. Tuesdays with Liz, a disability policy for all. It's a monthly YouTube show that it was my idea. I started the show about five and a half years ago, over 200 episodes, where I wanted to make sure that my friends could go up to Washington, D.C. or go to Lansing and talk about these issues. I didn't think that people understood what home community-based services are, what transformative competitive employment act is, what those issues. So exactly what the person described, that's exactly what it was, what it is. So please look for that. And then the next website is a wonderful digest from a student, a college student talking about nonpartisan policy, and it's in plain language, so you might be interested in that. The next slide. We don't have time to go through all of this, what to do, but and I think that everything on this list is so important, but I will highlight one. On the second one, write letters, make phone calls, and personal visit, whether you're in Lansing or whether you're in DC. I mean, wanting to connect with your federal representative or your state representatives, and every federal, as I said, every representative or senate or senators on the federal level has a district office, so you can also reach them there. But they're both important, both the state or the federal. So contact them. The next slide. These are some tips how to talk to legislators or staff. I should also say that again, I think everything on this list is important, so you can use your voice, but the two most important things on the list for you to remember is be yourself and be comfortable and practice what you had to say. I should also say that if you don't meet with the legislators, don't be disappointed. I know it can be very disappointing to not meet with Senator Scarborough, and you're meeting with Mary Jane from her office, but sometimes it's more useful to meet with the staffer because they'll give you more time. So the next slide. Again, I think everything on this list is important, so please review them. But if you only remember one thing, I would say remember the 27-9-3 rule. And what that is, if you can't say what you want to say in 27 words, 9 seconds, and make 3 points, it's too long. It's way too long. So you need to remember 27 words, 9 seconds, and 3 points. And then goodbye. And then at the bottom is a switchboard if you're interested in calling your representative or your senators. And you can reach them, your federal representative, by using that number. The next slide. This is just a slide about sometimes it can be overcoming glazed eyes by meeting with legislators. I know it's very time. You might be really it's just overwhelming sometimes. Believe me, I have done it a lot, and I might even do it tomorrow, and it's virtually, and sometimes it can be draining. But the most important, everything on this list is so important to review, but the one thing that you should remember is celebrate your success no matter how small they are. You might the celebration the win might be that you got a appointment. Even if the senators don't, or the representative or the delegates don't vote the way that you would like them to vote, at least you're winning that you told them how you felt about this. So celebrate that. The next slide. The advocacy alert and Susanna and Annette said that you have been getting them. They're not junk mail. They're really important, so we can use all of our voices to be heard. So the world can be better for all of us. So the next slide. And this is my information if you want it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liz. We're seeing lots of clapping, all of our silent clapping that we do on when we're on teams like this. And then you also have a message in the chat here. A lot of people appreciating your wonderful presentation and teaching us about the importance of advocacy and disability education. Thank you so much, Liz.
You're welcome.
Again, as we talked about before, we appreciate you coming and speaking to us. This is very timely presentation. And as you know, we've already kind of mentioned, your expertise and experience are so appreciated. We all know that advocacy is important, especially with the Michigan landscape right now. But we're really thankful that you were able to join us today and speak to the group, encourage people to have their voices be heard. Really important message. And we thank you for all you're doing in DC and what you do to support us here locally as well.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next we are going to move on and we are going to recognize our individuals who have been selected as our abilities champions. Just to remind everybody, an abilities champion, I see a hand up. I'll be right with you, Amy. Just one second here. Did you have a question for Liz? Amy, are you on mute?
I think she is, and it takes her a minute.
Okay, I was just going to clap for Liz, but I couldn't find my clapping.
Those are kind of tricky. Yeah, there's the little icons at the top.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm
Yeah.
glad you enjoyed it.
Okay.
So another round of applause for you, Liz. All right, as I mentioned, we're going to move on to our abilities champions. And just to remind everybody what an abilities champion is a person with an intellectual or developmental disability who defines ability by being self-determined, living an independent life, and leading others on their path as well. So we're going to recognize our first abilities champion, and here to introduce that person is from Community Living Services, or CLS, finally known as CLS, is Lucia Morrison, and she is the Director of Quality and Network Management for CLS in Oakland County. Welcome, Lucia.
Hi, thank you so much. Should I share what was written up on behalf of Cheryl, or do you have it there with you?
I'm on mute. I'm sorry. I have some pictures of Cheryl to show everybody. So if you just want to read through it, that's fine.
Okay, absolutely perfect. I'm honored to be able to be here today to congratulate Cheryl on her nomination for Abilities Champion. I've had the opportunity to work with her for quite a while, and I have the utmost respect for Cheryl, and am so happy for you, Cheryl. Congratulations. So some things that we put together at CLS for Cheryl as to support our nomination is Cheryl was born with cerebral palsy and dyslexia. She attended school in her local neighborhood with the other kids, her neighbors. Cheryl was put in a lot of special education classes, of course, and her teachers didn't always expect the same from Cheryl as they did from their other students. She, though, dreamt about what she wanted to do as an adult, like we all do. However, teachers told her, don't go to college. Her father told her if she wanted to live away from her family, she would have to move to a senior citizens apartment building. Her teachers also suggested that either become a greeter at a store like Walmart or do something with computers. Cheryl doesn't like computers, and she couldn't imagine greeting people all day in her wheelchair. Absolutely not. I cannot see Cheryl doing that all day myself either. Cheryl didn't know what she was going to do after high school, just like many of us, but she did know that she wanted to have a different life, a bigger life than other people expected her to have. She's certainly gone above and beyond that. She spoke with a good friend, and she was persuaded and supported to take a class at the community college. She earned an associate's degree there. Then her friend also encouraged her to go back for her bachelor's degree. She did eventually, going on to also earn her master's degree in social work from University of Michigan. Cheryl's passionate about helping people, other people with disabilities, live their best life. She's worked with hundreds of people, both as a professional and as a friend. Cheryl inspires everyone, all of us, that she meets and that she knows to follow their dreams and not let others make choices for them. She strongly believes that all people with disabilities need the opportunity to try, as well as the experience and learning that come from failure, in order to figure out who they want to be and what they want to live their lives, what they want their lives to look like. Cheryl lives in her own home. She has her beautiful service dog, Zen. She has staff that helps her when she needs them. Has continued to work. She has worked as a social worker through Beaumont Hospital with people with disabilities, as well as being a peer mentor for community living services. Cheryl was a leader in the Michigan Developmental Disabilities Council's grant project with Community Living Services, the Oakland County Division, the campaign for self-determined transitions, in which she taught parents, educators, and school-age people with disabilities about the transition process and opportunities for people with disabilities in their adult lives. She shared her life experiences and became a role model for others. Cheryl also taught self-advocacy skills to students who wanted to make choices in the school transition process about their lives. She's an athlete who's competed in the Detroit Marathon 3 times, a 26.2-mile run in her self-propelled wheelchair. She enjoys kayaking with friends, being active in her profession and personal life. She is truly an abilities champion. Cheryl, you inspire me every day, and I've enjoyed being your friend, chatting with you, and getting to meet your dogs and getting to pet them. And you are always so much fun. So thank you for who you are, and thank you for everything that you teach me every day.
Thank you for those kind words, Lucia. I appreciate it. I'm honored to be a champion, abilities champion, and represent CLS Oakland County. Thank you for the nomination.
We're seeing lots of congratulations in the chat for you, Cheryl, and lots of applauds. So congratulations to you. Such an inspiring story. We're very happy for you. Thank you so much, Lucia and Cheryl. Next, we're going to hear from the Vice President of Growth and Communications at Mork. And joining me, please join me in welcoming me, Lindsay Caltera. She will introduce our Mork Abilities Champion.
Thanks, Suzanne. Good afternoon, everybody. It is my great pleasure this afternoon to introduce Mork's Ability Champion, Hannah Ritchie. Hannah is 25 years old. She is on the autism spectrum and also struggles with anxiety. Hannah graduated from Clarkston High School with a certificate of completion in 2015. After graduation, she started volunteering at the Clarkston Library with a job coach. And after only a couple of weeks, they said, you don't need the job coach anymore. You're doing just fine volunteering on your own. And then 3 months after that, she was doing such a great job that she was offered a paid position. So Hannah currently still works at the library about 12 to 15 hours per week. Her responsibilities have increased, and her coworkers and supervisors have expressed how happy they are with her as an employee. Working there has helped Hannah open up her communication skills, meet new people, and increase her self-confidence in advocating for herself. In addition to working at the library, one of Hannah's biggest achievements is her business, Hannah Joy Spectrum Designs, where she makes decorative spoons, utensils, and many other items. The business started when her therapist recommended finding a creative outlet to help with her anxiety. So she decided to take a class at the Art Experience in Pontiac. And she would make things in art class for her mom, but she would also take pictures of them and post them on social media. And every time she would post something, people would reply, where can I buy that? You know, we want to buy that. And so realizing that there was a demand for her creations, she started attending local craft shows where the interest in her products only grew. Hannah now provides merchandise for 3 local stores, Yellow Dog Marketplace in Clarkston, My New Favorite Things, and Lake Life Goods in Waterford. She also set up online stores via Facebook and Instagram. Last year, Hannah grossed over $18,000 in sales from her business. And running her own business has helped her learn about money management and how to interact with customers and other important business skills. When she's not working, Hannah volunteers at her church where she watches the kids of the parishioners while their parents attend services. And for fun, she enjoys socializing with her friends and traveling, camping trips, and swimming at the Deer Lake Athletic Club where she is a member. One of the best things about Hannah, though, is her positive attitude and her commitment to be an advocate for others. Despite the challenges that autism and anxiety have brought to her life, Hannah doesn't view her autism as a disability. She always says she views it as a gift, and she uses her experiences to help others. Being a friend and advocate for others with disabilities is something that's very important to Hannah. She told me that one of her goals is to be a voice for people that are discouraged. And for those, I asked her if she had advice for other people that may have a disability and their family members. She said her advice is you have to always see the ability, and we have to love people for who they are. So it is for her many accomplishments and successes that she's achieved in her devoted advocacy for people with disabilities that we are very proud at Mork to present Hannah Ritchie with our Champion for Achievement Award. Hannah, I know you wanted to say something.
Hi, yes, thank you very much for this. I'm honored to be the champion, and I also want to thank my parents for everything they've done for me, and I want to thank God for that too. So yeah, thank you very much. This is my mom and dad, by the way.
Hannah, do you want to tell people who might be interested in your awesome products where they can find them?
So I have a Facebook and Instagram page called Hannah Joy Spectrum Designs, and I do custom orders for the within Raisin, and then
at your 3 stores.
At my 3 stores, and then I go to craft shows, so, and that's a big hit usually, and yeah. Yeah, and I'm very honored to have this award.
Thanks, Hannah. You
And
definitely
be a voice
deserve
for
it.
my people. And be a voice for my people.
Yeah.
Very well deserved. Congratulations, Hannah. I think we are coming to a close.
And I want to thank you all so much. That was an amazing celebration of abilities. I'm so excited. Thank you so much, Lindsay, and congratulations, Hannah. Very well deserved. You know, not too many people can go into business on their own, so that's exciting. As we come to a close in our program, I really want to thank each of you for taking the time to join us today. You know, a big thank you and congratulations again to Cheryl, and Hannah for all that they do to champion for people and abilities. I really, really appreciate our speaker, Liz Weintraub, today for bringing forth such important topics and information. Liz, I need to take you on the road with me. You know, I have to say, that I learned so much from just listening to you in that short period of time. We need more of that, Liz. The other thing I wanted to acknowledge, I saw one of our OCHN board members online, Adam Furman, and I want to thank him too for his service and his advocacy and his role as one of Oakland Community Health Network's board members. So he's there right along with everybody, making sure things get brought to the table, and he's faithfully there every time we meet to participate and to vote on important things that impact the lives of people we serve. So thank you, Adam, for that. Again, you know, Liz's topics are so timely because of what we're looking at, and I love when you talk about self-advocacy. And just to tell you a little bit about myself, I advocated for my son, and it was amazing. I felt so proud. My heart was so full. One day he turned around and said, I told him, do you need me to go to school and talk to somebody about that? And he's like, no, I can handle it myself. So he started talking up and speaking up for himself. And he also started monitoring his grades, which I thought was amazing. So that self-advocacy is so important when we see people we love and we advocate for them. And then when they turn around and show that they may not say it, but they've been watching. So when people have the ability to advocate for themselves, I think that's such a great way to walk through life, because we do it naturally, but some people just need a model. So if we could all be advocate models for each other on what to do when we need certain things in our lives and standing up for ourselves. So before I sign off, I definitely want to tell you how much I appreciate your support in celebrating the achievements of the women today. And it's funny, it's Women's History Month, and recognizing March as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. So thank you again, Liz, for your very timely presentation, to Community Living Services and Mork for celebrating people we serve. I think that's all about what we do. And to all of you who are joined us today in the Celebrating Abilities, thank you again and have a wonderful afternoon.